The first recorded recipe for corn chowder was back in 1884, right here in the heart of New England. Coming up next, we're going to take that recipe, we're going to do a lighter version, we're going to make it beautiful, and we're going to make a sausage crawfish corn chowder. This is delicious and easy to make, guys. For the recipe, head on over to kcknh.com, find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So it was 1884. That recipe was authored by Mary Johnson Bailey Lincoln of the Boston Cooking School. This is the first known published recipe, and I actually provided a link on my website so you could see that recipe. And it's using some fresh ingredients, but we're going to add a little bit more to it without killing the roots of where this comes from. We are doing a lighter version because, quite frankly, heavy cream is way too expensive here right now. Now you have some options. You can add pretty much whatever meats you want. Always use fresh or frozen corn for the best flavor. We're not using a slurry or roux, and we're doing half and half in this corn chowder. Now I got some farm fresh ingredients here. We got awesome corn on the cob that we did silvers. We did butter sugar corn. We got a little bit of red bell pepper for sweetness. Of course, this time of year, everyone's got a lot of summer squash and zucchini. And we're bringing this together with a little bit of fresh garlic, all into one bowl with some red onion. I've got some local sausages here out of Massachusetts. I'm a firm believer in trying to keeping it close to home. We also have some crawfish going in. You do not have to use crawfish, guys. I just happen to love the flavor of what crawfish will do. Now you'll notice when you read the recipe there is no salt in the recipe. That's because we're using items that already have salt. So the sausages normally have it, and you're supposed to be taste testing as you go. So it's actually better this way, and you're controlling how much salt's going into this. So in the pan we've got the butter, the olive oil, and the bundle of thyme, a little bit of black pepper. We're going to bring this up to a popping stage. It's actually quite cool to watch this. Just be careful though. And I'm just going to take that bowl here. After a couple of minutes, we're going to add the veggies. We're going to add the sausages all into the pot, including the garlic. The nice part about this is some of the fluids from the vegetables are going to come out through the cooking process. So this is very easy to, if you have to walk away real quick, you're not going to worry about burning the bottom of this. But certainly just keep an eye on this. Make sure you stir this around because you don't want this to do any kind of browning at all. We're doing a chowder, and a chowder typically is going to be white. Now, this is going to be just maybe 5 to 7 minutes. It's not going to take long. The real purpose of this is bringing it up to temperature. And I want to infuse the thyme into this. And this is why we're going to be kind of babysitting this time around. Now, once I've actually felt like the heat has hit everything, you're going to start smelling everything, which is really the easiest way to tell. That's going to be a good indicator to get your stock ready. And off camera, I have everything prepped ahead. That's your mise en place. So we're going to add that entire quart. And this loses the heat, guys. So this is why we're working in stages. We want to bring everything back up to temperature. And you can see some of the colors of the vegetables are coming through beautifully. That's what we want to see. And it's only a couple of minutes that's going to happen. And that's when we're ready to hit it with the half and half. And yes, I'm using a quart. Traditionally, an old school chowder is using all heavy cream. So we're doing a lighter version. And it still produces a beautiful flavor and mouthfeel when you're done cooking this. So this is going to come back up to temperature again. It does take a little bit extra time, but this is where you do want to stay around that stove. We don't want to overcook this. We don't want it to come up to a hard boil at all. We're going to ruin that dairy. We don't want to ruin any effort made into this. And about 5 minutes in, I removed the thyme bundle. And as you can see, we've got a soft boil happening. This is when you no longer see the butter. Everything is kind of marrying together. And we want to make sure nothing burns, nothing boils, and nothing breaks. A lot of bees in there. Now, folks, even in this lighter version of a chowder, you're not using a roux and you're not using a slurry. It was never used in the original concept of a chowder when it was originally created. Not even the Boston chowder was made with slurry or roux. We're keeping this as old school as possible, just without all the calories. And as always, test your food, check the thickness of your base. Right now, I'm seeing that this is getting ready to accept some Parmesan. Parmesan is nothing more than convenient dairy. I'm using this as my salt element. Remember, the recipe does not have salt in the instructions. So we're going to add our salt element by using some Parmesan, and I did freshly grate this. Try to use fresh grated when possible, guys, because it's going to be a whole different mouthfeel if you use the pre-grated stuff, and it doesn't melt very well. So here we've got that Parmesan added to this, and we're going to mix that like crazy. And this is how we can get this the nice, beautiful mouthfeel. Now, after all is said and done, the fresh farm ingredients, the sausages I bought locally, and some crawfish at the end. Let's take a look. Look at this beautiful spoonful. Look at the beautiful corn. Adds a natural sweetness to this. We got some fresh herbs garnishing the top of this bowl. This is a bowl of beautiful deliciousness, guys. I hope you'll give this recipe a shot. Let me know if you need any help. And as always, happy cooking.